Hello, my name is Angela, and I would like to welcome you to this Cincilingua membership lesson video. In this video, we are going to look at the present perfect tense. So let's start by looking at how we conjugate this verb tense. So in the present perfect, the conjugation would be like this. I have been, you have been, he has been, she has been, it has been, we have been, you have been, they have been. It's only in the third person when we have he, she, and it that we're going to use has. All of the others will be have. So this is a very important verb tense in English. Many places I have seen that this is the most used verb tense in the English language. So it is important. So let's look closely so that we understand what we're saying when we use the present perfect tense and how we form the sentences. So the present perfect is used to talk about things that you have and have not done in your life. And the time is not important. So if we look at this, this timeline here, the present perfect talks about all the time from the day that you were born, so on the day of your birth, all of your life until today, when we are having a conversation about something that you have done or something that you have not done. And we use the present perfect tense for a few different reasons. The first way is to describe an action that began in the past and continues up to the present. And the present perfect is formed with have or has and the past participle of the verb, or the third part of the verb. The second way that we use the present perfect is to describe an action that happened at an indefinite time in the past. And we're going to look at examples of all of these ways. The third way is to describe an action that was repeated several times in the past. And number 4, that way is to describe an action that you did not do during your life. So you have never done something. So let's look at some specific examples so that we can understand this better. If we look at the example sentences first, I have worked at Amazon since 2017. Or, I have worked at Amazon for 6 years. These example sentences show us what it means to describe an action that began in the past and continues up to the present. So let's look at our chart up here. So we see this is our life, right? So the day you were born, but we're talking about 2017. This is when you started to work at Amazon. And today we're having a conversation about that, but you can see that you started in 2017 and you continue working there even today. So it's from this time in the past up to the present. So if we look again, the present perfect can describe an action that began in the past and continues up to the present. Now, I have these words since and for in a different color because these are two words that are used a lot in the present perfect tense. So when we say since, it can tell us the year, the month, the day of the week. So since 2017, since last week, since July. When we use for, it's going to give us the amount of time for 6 years, for 2 weeks, for 3 days. And when we look at all of our examples in this lesson, we'll see other examples using since and for. Let's look at the next way that we use the present perfect tense. The second way is to describe an action that happened at an indefinite time in the past. If you remember at the beginning, I said that time is not important in this verb tense because we only want to know, do you have this experience in your life or do you not have this experience in your life? Okay, so again, we have the day you were born, and today we're having a conversation. And sometime in your life, you traveled to Denmark. It doesn't matter if it was when you were a child, when you were a teenager, young adult, last week. We don't care when. We just want to know, have you been to Denmark? So let's look at the example sentences down here. I could simply say, I have been to Denmark. And that means that sometime in my life, yes, I went to Denmark. Or I could say, I have been to Denmark one time. Okay, and that's true. I have been to Denmark one time. Okay, let's look at the next way that we use the present perfect tense. We can use the present perfect to describe an action that was repeated several times in the past. I have been to Disney many times. I have been to Disney several times. I have been to Disney 10 times. So when an action is repeated several times, we could say many times, several times, or we could give the number of times. So if we look at our chart, okay, the day I was born, we are having a conversation today about Disney. And during my life, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have been to Disney 10 times. So only because I put this visual chart, you can see that I went to Disney when I was a child, a teenager, a young adult, and more recently also. But when we're speaking, there's no visual. And again, the time is not important. We're just talking about Disney. Oh, have you ever been to Disney? Yes, I have. No, I haven't. Yes, I have been to Disney many times. Or maybe, no, I have never been to Disney. Okay, the next way that we can use the present perfect is for something that we have never done during our life. So we use the word never with the present perfect tense to say that we did not do something in our life. I have never been to Chicago. So if we look at this, again, we're talking about the day I was born. We're having a conversation today about Chicago. But in my life until today, never 0 times in my life have I been to Chicago. So I would say I have never been to Chicago. Okay, let's look at some other examples. I have been to Canada 2 times. Okay, so this is an example of where it's something repeated. So that's why we're going to have 2 times in this sentence. I have been to Canada 2 times. If I ask you, I would say, have you ever been to Canada? Caleb has seen that movie 14 times. So this is another example where something in your life has repeated several times. So that's why we have the 14 times in this sentence. Maggie has lived here for 10 years. Okay, remember we saw that for and since are words that we use in the present perfect. So it tells us how long Maggie has lived here. And we see that she has lived here for 10 years. He has read that book. Okay, so this is an example of something that happened at an indefinite time. We don't know when he read it, but sometime in his life, he read that book. Okay, so it's not something repeated, so we don't have many times or 2 times. It's just that sometime in his life, he read that book. I have never eaten snails. Ugh, no, thank you. So this is something that 0 times in my life. So that's why we're going to use the word never. I have never eaten snails. Have you ever eaten snails? Now, if somebody asks you a question with the present perfect, have you ever eaten snails? The short answer would be, yes, I have, or no, I haven't. And in future videos, we will look at asking questions with each tense. So make sure you look for those videos. Patricia has driven across Canada in a Jeep. Okay, so this is another indefinite time. We don't know when this happened, but we know that sometime in Patricia's life, she has driven across Canada in a Jeep. Ginny has seen the pyramids in Mexico. Another example of something at an indefinite time. Angela has never flown in a helicopter. Okay, so that's 0 times, and that's why we have that word never. Ruth has always liked baseball. Now, this is our first example where we have the word always, and always just means her entire life. When she was a little girl, she liked baseball. When she was a teenager, she liked baseball. As a young adult, she liked baseball. She continues to like baseball today. So always. So that's why we have that word always in this sentence. I have always lived in the United States. So all my life, I have lived here. Hazel has hummed that song 3 times today. Now, the verb hum, if you don't know what that means, it is when you have a song and you don't sing it, but it's that's humming, okay? So Hazel has hummed that song 3 times today. So we're talking about today. We don't know what time today, but at 3 different times, She has hummed that song. So it's a repeated activity. And so that's why we have 3 times today. We have taken the bus to work for 6 months. Now, this is an example of something that started in the past and it continues until today. So 6 months ago, we started to take the bus. And each day, take the bus, take the bus, take the bus. Today, we take the bus. So that action has continued for 6 months. So it's telling us how long this action has continued. They have gone to the Smoky Mountains several times. So during their lives, several times, many times, they have gone there. That's why we have the several times in this sentence. You have studied English for 3 months. Again, something that started in the past and continues until today. So 3 months ago, you started to study English and you have continued until today. So we have for 3 months showing us how long this action has been occurring. The artist has cleaned his brush many times today. So we see in the picture that he's painting and he has used many different colors. So when he paints with the red, when he's finished, he has to clean his brush. And then he gets the yellow paint and he paints and he has to clean his brush. So the artist has cleaned his brush many times today. It's an action that has repeated. I have gone over my speech 3 times today. So this is someone, he has to give a speech later, and to go over means to practice or rehearse. And here we see he's practicing. So it's something that he has repeated. So we have the 3 times. Alfred has given his wife roses for Valentine's Day since they were married. So this started in the past. The first Valentine's Day after they were married, he gave his wife roses. And then every year on Valentine's Day, he continues to give her roses. So starting from the first Valentine's when they were married until today, this is his what he does on Valentine's Day. So we have that word since they were married. That's the beginning when the action started in the past and it continues until today. She has attended church her entire life. Okay, so this is a new expression we're using, her entire life. So that means from birth until today. So her family went to church before she was born. And when she was born, they took her to church. And all her life, she has attended church. And there are many things that we have done our entire life. Rebecca has been in the Peace Corps for 2 years. Okay, so she's in another country working, helping the people. And we know that the time period is for 2 years ago, for 2 years. So 2 years ago, she went into the Peace Corps and she has continued until today. They have never been to Colombia. So again, this is something 0 times in your life, and that's why we have that word never. The manager has worked on that project for 2 months now. So we see the manager's working, but it was actually 2 months ago that she started, and she's still continuing to work on it. So we have for 2 months. It has been cold all week. So in the United States, Sunday is the first day of the week. So on Sunday it was cold, Monday it was cold, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, today's Saturday, all week. So starting on Sunday and every day until today. So that's why we have all week. Now let's look at the difference between present perfect tense and past tense, because sometimes students have a question about this and they don't understand 100%. The difference is time. So let's look at two examples down here. In the present perfect tense, I would just say, I have been to Europe. I'm telling you that during my life, I have had the experience of going to Europe. And the time is not important. Okay, here I put a picture. This was when I went to Denmark to visit my friend. But it doesn't matter when. I'm just telling you that I have this experience. I have been to Europe. Now, in the past tense, if we look at this, I went to Europe to visit my friend in 1994. When we use the past tense, you need to put a past time so that the person listening knows and understands when the action occurred. So in the past tense, the time is very important. In the present perfect, the time is not important and usually is never mentioned. Okay? I hope that this video has helped explain how we use the present perfect tense. Please make sure you attend our live classes. There will be classes focusing on grammar, and there will be more information there about the present perfect tense. And we will continue to add more lesson videos. So there will be more videos about this verb tense also. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in one of the next videos. Bye-bye.